because we do want to be able to provide this training to other families that were not able to make it tonight, and they will have access on our website to do that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Torres, and I will move out of the way so that we can start filming.
Good afternoon. I am also a second grade teacher. I was one of the teachers who started piloting the program Go Math at the beginning of the year. I was the only teacher here at American Lakes who was chosen to pilot the program. So I started from the beginning of the year as opposed to the rest of the teachers that are just starting right now. So I have a little bit of leadway with what the program's really about. And for tonight, there's a couple of things that I will be covering. What is Go Math? I know a lot of you have been saying, what is it? You know, it's changed. It has changed. So I'm going to go and talk a little bit about that. 2, how to support your child, and that's something that we're going to go over again. I'm going to show you how to log on, because we do have a website where parents can go and watch the lesson that the students have learned for that day. And then you can kind of, look and say, okay, this is how they want it to show, because I know we were just talking as opposed to when we were growing up, totally different, very, very different. 3, the shift in teaching, learning deeper instead of broader. So before it was, we had to teach so much, but we didn't go so deep. We just kind of touched the surface instead of going deeper into what really goes on into a math problem. So I'll be talking about that. And then grade level standards. There's less. Common Core has less grade level standards as opposed to more. So we'll be talking about that too. So Go Math, how do I help my child with math? Well, we're going to go into that, and then I'm going to show you how to log on and everything. If you want to sit next to her to kind of, because I'm going to have you guys do some things. How many basketball cards does Len have? So this was a lesson that I taught my kids this week. And it says, Len has 35 baseball cards. The rest of his cards are basketball cards. He has 58 cards in all. So talk to someone around you and discuss how you would solve that problem with your child. Because all of us are going to probably learn it differently. And that's what's happening in the classroom, is not every student learns the same way. Not every student is going to have the same answer as you came up with. Because different way, yes. And that's the goal of Go Math, teaching the different strategies, but coming up with the same answer. So just kind of discuss and talk to your partner of how you came up with the answer. I'll give you about a minute.
See, I did too much in my head, so a child ain't gonna understand that. I like her way better, because she's just subtracting the numbers that you have. So it's all visual. But I did too much in my head, so it's just like, 5 plus 3, 8.
Did someone come up with the answer? Go ahead. 23 cards. 23 cards? 23. 23? 23? Okay. So can someone explain how they got to the answer?
What I did, I just took the 58, subtracted 35.
Okay.
That's how I got that census and all.
Okay. How would you explain it to your student?
That's the thing. I would just say, the way I explained to my daughter is you take the bigger number and subtract it from the smaller number, and whatever you have left over, that's how many cards altogether.
Okay. Anybody else?
You can say that you have 58 in all. So to be able to find the 35, you just have to, take away 35 out of 58.
But the thing is that when I taught it this week, it was a learning experience for me also, is the kids wanted to add because that's what we were teaching. It's they want to add because it's saying how many does Len have in all. They're not reading how many basketball cards. So what we want you to do is when you're doing the math, break it down step by step, step by step. We're asking the kids to go, okay, what is the first question asking you?
Sentence by sentence.
Sentence by sentence, breaking it down. If we don't break it down for them, they're not going to understand it. That is the biggest thing that my second graders are having, and I think it's across the board that the kids are not understanding. We need to break this problem down. Even if you go upper grades, because we were just in a training and Ms. Holtman was in there, it's the breaking down. They don't know how to break down. So that's part of what we're teaching them as well. And the answer was 23, but we all came. She was, this parent said she was putting too much into her brain, that she was doing it a whole different way from what she did. She said, I just took the whole number and subtracted what I had. And that's what she did. So she did have 23. 23 was the answer for that question. So it was, let me take the whole and then subtract what I have. Yes?
But her way is easier to explain it. I can't explain to a child that if you can't see those numbers and just put them together in your head, I can't explain that to you.
Right, and that's what we're trying to get to, is that if you can't explain it to them, they're not going to understand it. And with Common Core is a lot of explanation. We want more of explaining, more of them talking as a group, than to know this is the way it's done and this is the way it's going to go. We all learn differently. Kids learn differently, so they're not going to learn the same way we did. So she might learn different from her, she might learn different from her. The kids, it's the same way. So when we do our math lesson, we have more of conversations going on as a group. It's not, let's get to the worksheet because the worksheet is the most important. It is important. However, if they're not comprehending and they can't explain their answer or how they got to their answer, it makes no sense to them. They just know it's right. But if they can't explain how they got to that answer, that's the goal with Common Core. So Parent University objectives: gain deeper understanding of the Common Core standards, shifts in mathematical teaching and learning, learn how to use mathematical models in building conceptual understanding and fluency, gain strategies to support Go Math learners at home. So that's our objective, is how can I support my child at home? What can I do? Or what do I need to do? Because I know you came in saying, I don't know, I don't know how to help her. Well, that's what we're going to help you, or try to help you, because we're just starting. As teachers, we're also learning. I mean, we just, like I said, how many teachers do we have? Maybe 25 of them have just started. I started when the year began, but the rest of the group is just starting. The rest of the district has just started. So they're learning as you are learning as well. So it says, what is happening in the world of math? What is really happening? I mean, I know you guys say it's different from what we taught. What else do you notice that's different? I know some of you have been in the classroom. What do you guys notice?
They have to explain more. Like my daughter with Miss Kissinger, they started to, if they write the answer, she has to write and draw what she says. So it's explaining. For me, it was difficult before because That's how I learned. The French program is we have to explain. And before it was just like the numbers. So my son is very good at doing the numbers, but when he has to explain, he cannot tell you how he went to the answer. He can just do it, but without telling you how.
Right, and if you notice, back in the days, we learned we just want them to know it. There's no explanation of why 5 + 5 is 10. Well, why? We was just, kind of like robots. We're just learning it. No, not now. Now it's, I need you to explain. How did you get that 5 + 5 was 10? Explain to me. Explain to your partner. So we have a lot of partner sharing or group sharing. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So here it gives us the question of upper grade. And this is the testing that they will have, a Smarter Balance Assessment. So this is a little bit trickier because this is for upper grade. So if you look at the questions, it says the 2-eyed space creatures, 3-eyed space creatures, and 4-eyed space creatures are having a contest to create a group with 24 total eyes. And then it says how many 2-eyed space creatures are needed to make a group with 24 total eyes. So that's a question that the kids are going to have to answer when they get to upper grade. This is part of our testing that the upper grade will be doing. So these are similar questions that they will have on that Smarter Balance testing. So that's what we're trying to get our kids to do, is to understand how to explain that. And that's just an example of one of the questions, of so many questions.
Are you going to explain this one?
No.
I was writing.
I wish I could, but I can't because it's upper grade. That's why I'm teaching lower grade. We kind of sat in a meeting with Ms. Holtman, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, how could I figure that out? And it's upper grade. Well, I don't teach upper grade, and neither does she. So it was hard for us to come up with the answer. But I think that as teachers, if we had our manual, then we would say, okay, this is how you do it. So, no, I can't explain it to you. You can? See? She would be able to.
24 is going to be the... Je sais pas comment dire. In French, I can tell you that 24, each of them have to find 24. So for the one with the 2 eyes, it's going to be 2 times 12, 24. And for the one with the 3 eyes, you have to find in the table of 3. When do you find the 24? It's 3 times
8. But
8.
Yeah.
And for the one with 4, it's going to be the same. You have to find in the table of 4 where do you find 24. And at the end, like that's how I
when I wrote
learned.
it down, I thought it was a total of 24 eyes. It's not a total at the end.
I
No, it
know
says
that
how
each
many
of them-
2-eyed space creatures are needed to make a group with 24 total eyes. So how many of the 2-eyed space creatures, how many of these would we need to make a group with 24 total eyes?
Oh, that's
So
why
it's
it's so
really-
confusing, because they threw all that other in like that last one.
When, like we talked, it has to be step by step. If we try to, for me, I look at that problem and I just want to find the answer. Well, it's not going to happen that way. I need to break it down for myself. Right. But the kids don't know process of elimination, and that's something that we need to teach as well, because they just want to get the answer and be over. How many of our kids do that? I have a 17-year-old who wants to do that. He just wants to get the answer and he's done. So these are some of the questions that you'll see like on a test for upper grade. So what is happening in the Go Math classroom? So a lot of teachers say, well, my kids are learning more. That's true, they are. And they're experiencing different ways to come up with the answer. And we'll look at some of the shifts that are happening. So 5 shifts in the classroom. The first one is class as a collection of individuals goes to classrooms as mathematical communities. So instead of this is, I know it, I don't need to tell you why, they're talking to each other. As she said, there's more talking between groups or between pairs, because we'll turn to the kids and say, okay, think, pair, share. Turn to a partner, share it. As a group, what did you come up with the answer? So you have to discuss it. We're having them communicate with one another instead of just, this is how I got the answer, and this is my answer, and this is the way it's going to be. So we're talking. Well, how did your group come up with the answer? The teacher as the sole authority, mathematical evidence as the authority. So we're not saying, I'm in control of the problem and this is how you do it. No, we're letting the kids speak. We're letting them come up with the answers and share the way they came up. Just the other day I had kids, we were learning double number addition, and I said, okay, well, explain your answer. When we get to that explaining and asking how you got to that answer, the kids, I'm shut down, I don't know. I just know that this is the answer. Okay, well, explain it to me. So, I'm having the kids come up to the board and explain to the class how he got that answer. So we're having more of them teaching one another than I'm standing here and this is how it's gonna be. Memorization of formulas. Well, that's how we were taught. Let's memorize that 5 + 5 is 10. That 2 + 2 is, it's not anymore. So we're going to mathematical reasoning. How did you get that answer? We want more of explanation. Finding answers in mechanically, problem solving, conjectures, and inventing. Treating mathematics as a body of isolated concepts and procedures. And then it goes to connecting mathematics, its ideas and applications to the real world. So we want them to connect it. We were talking about when the kids are cooking with you. Okay, why am I using 2/3? Kind of having them use those terms, using the math in a real world. Well, if I put 5, why am I adding 5? But if I make 2 batches, why am I going to add another 5? So, having them cook with you and use math during that cooking time would be great. With Common Core, it says problem solving, math talk, real world problems, math boards, hands-on activities. So that's something that if you have one of these, this is our lessons. Our lessons go from we engage the kids with the video, and then they're exploring on their own. So we have the 5 E's. Then we go explain, okay, turn to your group, explain how you got your answers. So they're working independently, but they're also working as collaboratively. Elaborate, well, how do, and if I didn't bring my book, but on most of the lessons, instead of just having them do the problems, they also have them do smarter, balanced questions, like questions that will be like on a test. On a real test. Once they get to 3rd grade, is it, Ms. Holtman, that they start taking the state testing, that's where all the problems, they're going to come in and they're going to see that smarter balance or the think smarter. They have some questions, and it's a lot of the word problems, and that's what we're teaching them. Break it down, break it step by step. How did you get the answer? And believe it or not, we have 2nd graders, and I know Ms. Conley can attest to it, that want to get the answer, but yet they can't explain it. And then we say, have you read the first part? Let's read the first part. So what we're doing as a whole in the class is I do it as a whole class. I'll put the paper up on my, where they could see it. And I said, okay, let's read the first question. What is it asking you? Okay, we found that out. Let's look at the second part. What is the second part asking you? So breaking it down for them is it's easier than before, instead of just giving them the answer and saying it's 10, yeah. So this is one of the problems as well for upper grade. It says unlock the problem. Joey's decorating banners for a school project. He has 24 banners to make. 5/8 of his banners have been completed. How many of the banners have been completed? So talk to a partner and see if you could figure that problem or how you would work that problem. What's that? 9, right? I don't know. We'll find out. I just want you guys to kind of talk and see how you would figure it out and how you would give it to your child. Are you just going to say, here's this problem, find out? Or would you break it down and discuss each step with them?
And also know that, you can also write it down, so I mean, if you wanna just, as you're thinking, if you wanna, sometimes it helps to illustrate a problem. And, that's a strategy. So it's just different ways of solving that. And it's amazing to see how many different ways the children can come up in solving the same problem. Sometimes, I mean, they're completely new and different from what we would come up with. So it's just a different way of being able to think, speak, and then also write.
And it'll show you. I'll show you. But for me, if I was to figure out this problem, I say, well, I'm going to put 24 over 1 times 5/8. Because that's how I was taught.
I was taught to draw it out.
There you go. And that's,
I would take 8 boxes, figure out how many 8s go in 24, and each box has that many, and then 5 boxes.
and we'll go through some of the slides because the slides will show you. But just kind of work on it and see how you would come up with the answer. I'm interested to find out because I know you have a different way of thinking of things, and so I'll give you about a minute. And this is a 5th grade problem. So over here, we should know that she knows how to do it because she's got.
smarter than a 5th grader.
So I went with the 24 banners, 5, 8 are done. So I'm like, it's supposed to be 8 out of 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take 24 and I will divide it by 8. I'll have 3. So I'll know that the 3 out of 8 are not done. So 3 out of 8 are not done, and 5 out of 8.
So what would your, see, because mine would be, can I borrow your pencil? 24 over 1 times 8 over 3. No, not 8 over 3. I'm looking at yours. 5/8. Well, I know this is going to cross out. This is 1, this is 3. So 3 times 5 equals 15. Because that's the way I learned it. But now, like and I'll show you on the slide, the kids are learning so many different ways because it's like they were saying, well, I'm going to draw.
We did the drawing too.
See, in my drawing, me with drawings, I don't learn from that. I just want numbers. I don't want to see this drawing because that means nothing to me. But again, it's a visual person who's going to do the drawing.
So what is good now, it's like they give it easily for
It's a
everybody.
variety.
Exactly.
It's a
Because
variety.
Ahmed, it's just a number. He doesn't want to read the stuff, and now
And
he has
that's
to
me.
read. Now he has to read the problem. When Nafi, she loves to read, so she can explain. She actually say, I have 5 candies. If I give 2 to Ahmed cannot do that.
The conversations that they're having with one another
That's
is
good.
more, the vocabulary that they're learning in the classroom.
I think she's
I tried to do
close.
your
She
technique.
got
I
this
don't know,
going
you
on.
said 24 over 1 and then cross.
Right, because I would cross multiply, right?
Right, yeah.
And then, so this would be 1, 8 goes into 24, 3 times 5 is 15.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right? 8 going to 24, right?
Yeah.
That's 3.
okay,
So that's
then
where I got
3
this,
times
15
5.
over 3, and then I
But you
divided it.
know, no, because this becomes 1 because you divide 8 into 8. This becomes 1.
Oh, and this will become 3.
Right, and so 3 times
Okay,
5 is
that's why.
15.
So, but see, that's where I came up with the 15 right here. Oh no, wait, yeah. Wait, didn't I? Oh no, that's it. So this is where I came up with the 15 at. So I wouldn't
Right.
do that.
But you don't have nothing down here because this is 1.
Yeah, this is 1, so it wouldn't be anything.
So it's a
So I would
15
just
whole
5
number.
times I mean, yeah, 5 times 3 is 15. So I
I
guess
would
this
have
one.
never gotten that.
And
that's
see,
the
and they're
old
over there,
school.
they're talking about, this is old school.
That's old school. I should have
Right,
got that.
but the way they're talking is drawing the pictures. See, for me, it's difficult. With fractions, the picture drawing throws me off.
Yeah,
That's
see,
probably why
can't
I
get
got
it with
myself
that,
stuck once I started.
Right,
With
That's
the
where I
picture,
got stuck.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I walked around, I learned that some parents like pictures, other parents just like numbers. For me, it's easier for numbers than pictures. And that's just the way I was taught. And I know that Ahmet's mom over here was saying, drawing the picture, is easier for me, as well as Miss Collin. Miss Collin was saying drawing the picture. And we'll go in here and kind of look. It says, how were you taught to do a problem such as this? So again, we go to, I'm going to say 24 over 1 times 3/8 or 5/8. And then she was magically just doing it in her brain. I was like, okay, well, she's super smart. Makes me look bad. I was like, and that's why I don't teach upper grade. But I know you have a first grader coming up, so she won't be learning that with us. So I just kind of looked at her and I'm like, how does she figure that out so quickly? Again, kids are going to learn different way. Is she wrong? I don't know. Am I right? I don't know. Is she right? I don't know. So they're going to learn different ways of how to come up with that answer, and that's what we want. We want them to be able to share their way of thinking, not just mine, not just the teacher's. I'm right, and this is how you're going to do it regardless of what you say. So that's basically what we're discussing with Go Math. Here we go. This is the 5/8 of 24, and this is how I did it, because this is the way I learned. And that's what we were, see, and that's how we were taught. And so for me, having the pictures would be, I couldn't do the drawing because I can't stand fractions in pictures. I don't know how to figure out fractions. And I'm being honest. This was the way I was taught, and this is probably the way I would teach the kids. But am I correct 100%? No, because the kids are going to learn in another way as well. So that's the way I would have came up with the answer. It says, let's take a look at how math develops your child's understanding. So here you go. These are the different ways that the students are being provided to learn. Whether it's counters, drawing pictures, using different things in the classroom. We're not just sticking to numbers or just sticking to a certain way of learning. We're letting them solve the way they can find the answer. It's not just my way. So we'll look at some of the examples that they show. So it says, as we all know with math, there are many ways to get to the answer. What is critical is that your child has a way to get to the answer and understand the math behind the process. This slide shows a number of student examples. Notice how different they are. Again, pictures. I wouldn't have drawn pictures. Right. And that's what Go Math enables them to do, is to express the way they came up with the answer. It's not, I'm going to show you this way because this is the right way and this is how I'm teaching you today. No. Again, various ways to come up with that answer. Did they all come up with the right answer? Yeah. Was it different? Yeah. And it was okay. So that's what Go Math is. It has a lot of do-it-yourself and what fits you, basically. Math talk. What other information do you need? What do you think will happen if? How did you know? So those are a lot of the questions that we ask in the classroom. How did you know? How do you know? And I know Ms. Holtman has walked into my class and she hears me. How did you get to that answer? Explain to your partner. And she says, you're questioning them. Yeah, because I want to know the answer. How did they get to the answer? It's not, yeah, you're right. 5 + 5 is 10. You're right. That's correct. No explanation, no nothing. No, explain to your partner how you got to, 5 + 5 = 10. What did you use?
And it's amazing to see and listen to the students and their answers and their ways that they're coming up with their answers. So I've been in her class many times, and every time I come back, it's amazing just to sit there and listen. Even our quiet students that maybe at the beginning were not really comfortable in terms of talking and having that discussion, now they're talking and now they're having those discussions. So it's amazing. It really is. And even in this room right now, when we first started, it was kind of quiet, but now, you're having conversations, you're talking, you're feeling a little bit more comfortable. And it's, this is just an opportunity for us to experience what our children are experiencing in the classroom every day.
And when I started this program, I even told my partner back there, and I confessed to both of my administrators, I'm not used to the loudness in my class. I want it to be quiet. They're like, it's not happening with Common Core. And I'm like, but I can't. My class for 15 years, it's been quiet. I want quiet in my classroom. They have to be working. Well, they're working when they're talking. No, they're talking. And so getting used to that was hard as a teacher, because now we're going from stop talking, you just talk to your partner, to let's talk, let's have a conversation, talk to your group, explain to them how you got to your answer. So we're having them work together collaboratively, but we're also having them partner up. It's never on their own. It's very rare that you'll walk into a classroom now and the kids are working on their own. They're either talking or conversating with one another and sharing the answers. And that's what we talk with Math Talk. Again, it's been hard this year for me to let go of, I need you guys to be quiet. I need you guys to. And so now it's like I walk around and they're talking and I'm making sure that they're talking about the conversation that I asked or the question that I asked. And I'm like, or if I see a student who's really quiet, I'm like, okay, so how did you get your answer? And they love sharing with the teacher. They like that attention. So once they start with the teacher, they'll go to a partner and say, oh, Ms. Torres said this and this and that. But really, I'm pushing them to give me the answer. You explain to me. I don't know. I'm wrong. I got the wrong answer. You tell me how you got to. So it's that. Letting go, let go, let go. And it's hard. Sometimes it is hard as teachers. It's been hard, let me just tell you. But as the kids are growing, I say, oh, this is what Common Core is. This is what Go Math is. I like what I'm seeing. I like the fact. I don't care about if you can't get to the worksheets. Because then, if I can explain and you can explain and go home and tell your parents that you did it, that math homework is going to be easy for you. But if I let you walk out of the classroom not being able to explain what you just did, then I didn't do my job. But if they can explain it, I don't care about the worksheet. And that was something that when I went to the training, I'm like, what do you mean I just taught a lesson and they're not going to do anything in there? What did I do then? Why did I do it? But it's that conversations that they're having, that explaining to one another. Any questions so far? Okay, so this is just some of the examples, some of the pages that we do in the classroom. They have the working together, the independent work, and then the group work. How can you support your mathematician at home? Well, here we go. So we're looking at January through May 2016. Teachers have been trained on the print materials of Go Math. Again, the teachers do not know half of what I know. because again, I started at the beginning of the year. They just started right now, so they're also learning with everything. And I'm still learning. I'm not the professional here. I'm learning as well, so learning new things and stuff. February 2016, parents are being trained in the Go Math. We've talked, some of our parents have gone to a couple of the meetings at the district, and they have been trained to kind of log on, but a lot of the teachers haven't input stuff in their, in your child's homework log. Summer 2016, teachers will receive training on all online resources for Go Math to use for lessons, assessments, review games, and other resources. September through October, parents will get training and Go Math online resources. So this is just the beginning for us. It's not, this isn't all. This is just a tiny part of what Go Math and what you'll be learning with Go Math. Here, as we continue developing our technology in the district and as we continue to blend print and digital in the classroom, you will see a variety of resources used. Each teacher will use a variety of print and digital resources with their students. So every teacher is not the same. Your teacher might be different from her teacher. If they're in the same grade level, they might be different. Miss Conley and I are, second grade, but she just started with Go Math, so she's not where my students are at. They're still in the process of transferring over from Envision to Go Math, so we're a little bit ahead. My second graders are a little bit ahead. So strategy 1, talk to your child about how you use math in everyday life, and that was something that I talked to you guys about. In the grocery store, weighing fruit, estimating cost. In the kitchen, measuring greater than or less than, double or half. Around the house or out walking, talking about shapes and patterns using an analog clock, which is something that a lot of the kids are getting away from because, well, why should I? I have a, cell phone. But those are some of the things that, you go to the grocery store, ask your kids. If I buy this, how much is it going to cost me? Just simple questions that you can use math in every day. Again, students' homework may look a little different than you are used to. Students will be asked to apply what they have learned in class to no problems for homework. Remember, you can ask questions to help your child determine what to do. Again, when we're trying to stay away from the bubbling and just giving me the 5, we're trying to have them explain more. How did you get to that answer? I mean, okay, so you can have them add, but then also ask them, well, how do you know? Don't just let them decide that how many goats are there and, just bubble in 6. We'll ask them, question them. How did you get to 6? Why did you get 6? That's still that how. How did you get there?
And that's going to be very important for, you as parents, as you're working with your children to help us. And, ask those questions, the how and the why, or ask them to draw it. But that's going to be important so that they're not only having to discuss in school, but then when they're going home and solving the problems, they're not just writing the numbers, but they're able to have that communication with you and have that discussion.
And on the back of your yellow sheet, there's some questions that you can use when doing homework to question your student as well. Homework support strategies. Ask your students questions about the math using the question cards for guidance. That's the yellow one that you have that we just handed to you. Along with that yellow one in the front, you'll see a login, and it will show you how to log into Think Central for the math program. But in the back, those are some of the questions that you can use at home as well. Before, what is the problem asking? So before they jump into the problem, ask them, what is the problem asking you? What do you do first and why? Why are you doing that part first? And that was one of the questions, like the first question that I gave you guys. Well, how did you jump to know that I'm going to subtract from 58? Why? Explain to me why. The kids could not do it in my class. Why are you jumping to 58? And all my kids, they could say that it was, what was the question, 58 plus 35 was this bigger number. They couldn't understand, why is this subtraction now? If we were adding on previous problems, why are we subtracting now? Okay, let's talk. And that was my time to, okay, this is where they're gonna get stuck. I need to explain. I need to sit down with them and explain. And I put the paper, I threw it up on the overhead, and I said, okay, we're gonna break it down. And then the kids were like, oh, they couldn't understand it because, again, they wanted to just add because that's what they were doing. And I said, you need to read the question. You have to go step by step. And that's something that most of our kids are gonna struggle with. It's that breaking it down, breaking it down. After, why did you choose the operation? What other information do you need? Again, well, why did you choose to add? I asked them. Well, why not? The other problems we're adding, why are we subtracting out? And I said, oh, we'll read the problem. So I had them go back and read. And we had to read, I'm not kidding, we had to read that problem at least 4 times before they could understand what they were being asked. During, how do you know your answer makes sense? Again, it was that, how do you know? How do you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing? Where does it say to add? What word in that sentence says to add or subtract? So it's those little crucial words, more, less, that they're still not understanding. They just kind of read through it, but don't take the time to really look to see what it's asking. And again, you can ask them, what is another way that you can come up with that answer? Is there another way? Because I could have figured it out. And and you might want to share the way you came up with it. And that might, that might open their eyes to saying, oh, like with you. I was like, how did she come up? And I have no clue, but she's fast, man. I feel embarrassed. And then I'm over here, and I couldn't understand what she was doing because she was drawing pictures for me. Didn't work for me. So see, and again, our students have different learning modalities, so they're going to learn differently. There are 2 more. It says students can be overwhelmed reading the problems as, again, we need to break it down. What is it asking? What is important about what is the important information? What operation do I need to use? Again, I went through those questions because I was like, no. And they kept on saying, you add. No. And I was just like, I don't want to tell them, I was like, are you sure? I just kept on saying behind my mouth, no. But I needed them to know why. Why? I kept on asking why. Why am I adding? And because we did on the, okay, but let's go back. And I had to take them through that process of, why are you doing that? Where in that problem does it say that? I wanted them to look at the problem again and be able to tell me where exactly it's set to add. And they couldn't. So I said, so do we add? And then, it's just taking them step by step. And I know sometimes as parents, I even do it with my son. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's right. And, with Go Math, they need a lot of support because they want to talk to you. There's going to be a lot of communication with them, a lot of vocabulary being thrown out in the classroom. And, you might kind of say, what? What did your teacher teach you? What? What are you talking about? Because I was one. Here, using math talk questions will start to feel very natural with a little practice. Team up with another parent for a quick practice. So I'm going to have you pair up with another partner. It says Sue scored a total of 35 points in 2 games. She scored 6 times as many points in the second game as in the first. How many more points did the score in the second game? So try to figure that problem out. Let's see. Sorry. Can we figure this one out together? I think this was the only one we could figure out. answer me. I'm like, it's too much reading for me. I'm like that little kids. I'm just gonna add. But I only have one number in there.
Oh, it was a total of 35 in 2 years. I'm thinking,
How'd you get that?
I'm thinking 35. So
The desk? That's exactly what I was see. I'm gonna question you. How?
total, yeah, I said I-
Because if she scored 5 points the first game, 5 times 6 is 30. So that'd be 30 points for the second game for a total of 35. So she scored 30 points in the second game, 5 in the first. 5 times 6 is 30.
How are you gonna explain that to your first grader?
I don't know.
See?
She gonna have to draw a picture.
Break it down.
I can do it if I had to. She can't.
That's what I did at
She'd
first.
probably draw her little circles like she usually does
But then,
with all the groups of 6s and 5s or something.
But then, I'm thinking like 35. But then it's 35 points.
I'm interested for your answer, and then I'm gonna go over there.
Did 35
This is
times
driving me
6.
crazy.
But then I'm like, that's too much. You don't even get 200
Right,
games.
right.
But she said 35 in 2 games.
That's what I'm thinking, so you split it up.
17.5.
That's
It
what I'm
has to
thinking.
be because,
Divide the 2 into 35.
no.
That's what I'm thinking, like the 2 into 35, 2, that's 1, that's 15.
And this again is upper grade, like 5th.
14, that's 1.
Told you we're
Yeah,
not smart
17
enough.
and a half. 17 and a half, that's what you have, right? Yeah.
She said 30. You said 17 and a half.
Then you gotta change it by six.
Yeah, I know. Not that far.
You always have something, so I'm.
You know the second sentence?
She
Is
scored
the
6
one that-
times.
Yeah, we have to focus more because when she says she scored 6 times as many points in the second game,
That's
I
the
might
first.
pull out my calculator.
at the beginning I didn't get that. I had to go back to that.
Now remember, it was 2 games, so 35 for 2 games.
For each game, right?
No, for 2 games.
Oh, per game. So 17.5 on one game.
Yeah,
And
that's what
17.5 on the other. And then she scored 6 times as many points. And then she scored
Yes.
6 times more in the second game than the first game. So first game she was 17.5.
Oh, you times that by
17.5. That's what I did, but it don't
It don't go right,
right.
huh?
It don't seem right.
maybe 13 times. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, okay.
They probably are. His age.
She would know because she's been kind of saying, I don't know how to teach my child in there. Are they doing algebra in 5th grade? Yes.
They probably are.
They
Not
are.
surprised. They're always.
Okay, so she came up with an algebra expression, which was, oh, that's how I learned. It brought me memories of, oh, that's the way. Her, she totally lost me. Over there, they lost me. Over here, I was like, I don't understand. But I think the answer was 30, right, Ms. Holtman? Yes. We did come up with 30. So it was 30. It wasn't 17.5. Because she tried to figure x plus x, right? So she gave her 2 variables, x and x. And then she found the variable for one, and then she found the second one. So she multiplied.
She's smarter than a big girl.
Right.
But how did you get 30?
So
You rounded
here-
up. I got 27.4.
So here's the model. We do not know what each rectangle is, so we use a letter, as she did. She used X for some number. We didn't know each rectangle represents the same amount, so we used the same letter, asked what is N. N equals 5, so that's what she came up with. She said she used the same variable, X and X, and then she came up with one variable and then multiplied it by 5. And that's how she got her. Oh, you want the original question?
Yeah, I'll take the picture.
Even with that, I don't know if I'm gonna come out with that right answer.
Oh, memories of algebra. What grade? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that what she's doing? I mean, that's something I remember.
What I like about Go Math is that what they learn in kinder, we're building upon what's in kinder. We're building what's up on first, and then we're building upon each grade, which is nice.
easier for
Yes, it's,
Yeah.
I have faith in this program.
And the students are learning, you know, geometry,
Right.
learning algebra in kinder. And you might not think that that's happening in kinder, and it really is.
anymore.
And then it builds as they go.
I know, it is, it is.
Did you guys want to take a picture of this too?
Like, I feel so dumb taking pictures.
No.
I gotta
we
figure
had
that
no
out.
other parents were. Okay, so homework support strategies. Ask your student questions about the math using the question card for guidance. Again, we talked about that. And the digital component, we're going to go through that right now. We're going to let you log on Chromebooks that we have here. That's why we gave you the sheet. Can I borrow yours? So they're coming up with a Chromebook, and we're going to log on to Think Central. So,
I gotta run and get Jada.
right.
And it's just the same thing as the Go Math?
Right.
Log on for Go Math.
Think Central.
Different
It's
teacher.
Think Central. Oh, did you?
Yeah,
It's-
Sherry gave me her login and all that. Oh, she was putting it on yet, but I looked at it. I don't know what to
Oh, where is
do.
it on?
No, but there's an area where you're gonna go, and there's some stuff in there. Yeah, it'll give you the lesson for the day.
How'd you get to the website? Oh, where is it?
Okay, Ms. Holtman, I'm not like literate in this, so how can I open up another page so I can take them through the process of logging on?
We might need our technology.
Technology.
Our technology expert, we might need your help over here. Yeah, so you need to.
Where's the delete button on this thing?
Thank you.
Oh, I gotta go all the way to the end, I can't just delete.
Okay, so up here, you're going to highlight and then put Think Central.
Oh, well, go to the end.
So they're on the, okay, yeah, so if you just go.
Oh, you're there.
Oh, my
You don't have to
goodness.
start.
Oh, really? Was there a shortcut? I'm having trouble.
Go Math.
Oh,
No, I just
okay, so
walked
you
by and
don't
saw
have
that
a login. Okay,
somebody else did.
okay.
Thank you.
Once you get here, go ahead and log on to Think Central. You should get a page that looks like this.
So it's gonna be and the username, yes. And that's the password.
Oh, you do? Oh, there we go.
Si pone, va a poner usted toda esta información aquí.
So, you're gonna go, and we'll be there. Okay, if you're on this page, we're going to go. I already complained because I think that the kids don't need all this information. We're hoping that we get just their login and their password. So,
Ms. Torres, there's a shortcut. So if you go to our website, American Lakes website, so can you go?
she did.
And there's actually a shortcut already built into our website, right?
Oh, is it?
Connolly?
Yes,
Yes?
it's called Go Math.
Yes, it's already there, but you would have to go to American Lakes.
Oh, it's like Lexia, it's easier to go to the site to go to the.
Typing in California.
Yeah, California, and the district is Natomas.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the development after school program.
Okay, where's Miss Connolly?
I didn't have it, Conway.
It's not coming up on hers.
Empezamos la junta desde las 5, ya se va a terminar, pero el 25 vamos a tener una en español, para si gusta venir el 25 de este. Ujú, es en español.
Is it by chance?
Ajá. Y sí, esa va a ser en español.
Okay, so Ms. Torres, do you want to come and log on?
Sí, el 25 la miro.
And then, because it's not on the website, so go the way that you know. They're all in.
Okay.
But it's not, let me see.
It's not doing mine, right? Right, and they said, is it in there?
Yeah.
Oh. Goma, yes. Oh, yours did have it. Why didn't mine have it?
Yeah, I don't know why we're not able to see it, but it's on this website. So let's see.
No, we don't have to. Okay, right. I don't know where the kids went, you just said here. Okay, so over there. So they're over there.
Okay, I couldn't go on, so.
So what
Oh,
page
she
is
couldn't
that?
get on.
No, because I need to show it up there. That's why. Thank you, though.
On our Chromebook.
Got it.
Oh, and then hit this.
Okay, got it. They have it, but it's not on the
On my-
website.
no. Oh, okay, so you might, Ms. Holly, can you explain to them so that that way it makes it easier? So once you get here, you're gonna select the state.
They're actually already in.
Oh, they
to
are?
the page where they have they're gonna, type
Yeah,
in
we
their
have a short-
password and the username. So
Okay.
they're ahead.
They're ahead of me?
Yes,
Because the Chromebook has the American Lakes
it's already on there.
Chromebook shortcuts, not our
But
website.
again, you have to understand, we need to teach them because they're gonna be at
At
home.
home, it's,
Oh, there you go.
yeah, but
At home, they're not
for
gonna have
Lexia,
this.
I cannot go online, I have to go to the school thingy
Website.
and then click on the Lexia thing to be able to go.
So that's
So
what,
maybe you can just walk
Because
them
mine
through.
doesn't work, but.
On there, Ms. Torres?
Yes.
You know? Okay, so let's clarify that. Okay, so new learning for us, as we're learning with you along the way. So Ms. Torres is actually right. So she's going to show you what you're gonna see at home when you Google it, because we're using, right now you're using the Chromebooks, and our Chromebooks already
See, you're
have
fine the way we
a
went.
page where it'll take you directly to the, sign on for the students. However, you're not gonna have that at home.
Once you do it at home the first time though,
Yeah.
it'll do it where it already has that information in there, you just enter in your password.
So,
and you're-
and
right,
this
but
is-
not for, yeah, after the
yeah, so
first
for the
time.
first time, this is what you're gonna see, and she's gonna walk you through it, so that when you go home and try it at home, you know what you're doing. So she's gonna go ahead and
Okay.
just walk us through that process.
So we went ahead and on the Earl page, we put Think Central. Then we're gonna go here and then it's gonna ask you for the state. It's gonna ask you for the district, and then it's gonna ask you for the school, and we're the first one, because we're number one. And then it's going to ask you for your username, which is your student's username. So go ahead and log that in, and I'll log in.
Mine kicked me out 3 times. Well, it won't let me log in and tell me it's incorrect.
Hold, I'll be there. Oh, see, mine won't have this. So you're going to go into the library. these are the things that you're going to be able to see with your kids. So go ahead and click on one of those. So when you get, can I see yours? When you get to your page, you're going to see this and a bigger screen that says things to do. It says my library, my scores. You're going to go into my library. I can't go into my library anymore. So I might have to use a Chromebook. So now you're going to go into my library. And these are the things that your child is able to see. So it'll say this student edition. So right there on the student edition. Can I get a Chromebook because I'm going to have to go through them. So once you go into the library, there are going to be things that you can look at. There's different things for different grade levels. Let me just log on there with one of my students. One of my students log in. Whose is it?
Somebody, a parent is logging on with the second grade, they can access a fourth grade student material also, but they will have a different password, right?
They will have a different password, yes. Okay, so your computer's going to look like this. Can you get her another one with someone else's login from 5th grade so that she knows what she's...
I'm going to pull up her Google account right
Okay,
now.
okay. So your page looks like this, right? Then you're going to go into my library. And you should see some things up here for your child. So up there, like for mine, they have Mega Math, which is games. Then they have Practice Book, Student Edition. That's their book where we worked on. So let's say right now we're working on Chapter 4. It's going to give you some of the information that they've learned. And you can ask them questions. You can go over the activity. It'll give you some homework pages and stuff. So try opening up at least one of the activities on there. Because if you look at Student Edition ebook, it'll show you the lesson. If you go into Student Edition ebook, it has an E, it'll show you the lesson that they did for that day. So you can go into the different chapters. So I'm going to go in here into Chapter 2, and it'll give you the lesson. And you can look at what they did in the classroom. So you can go in Student Edition ebook. Try Student Edition ebook. So you can look at that.
Student edition ebook is what's on there.
Right. And so then if you go into content, these are all the chapters. What, kindergarten?
Yeah, kindergarten.
Do you know what chapter they're on?
No idea.
No? Okay, so you could go to chapter 1 and go into each lesson. They even have the vocabulary, they have a game. So if you looked at lesson 1, this is what they did.
Oh, wow.
And you can print that as well. Did you get there?
Yeah, student edition.
Yep, and then you can go into contents. And each chapter's here. So I don't know what chapter,
I have no idea.
whose class is she in?
She's in Peril.
Okay, so you could even go into any chapter just to make sure that she's got her addition or subtraction. So you could go to lesson 1, and it's going to give you the workbook pages.
Okay.
And they can even listen to it because it plays it for them.
Listen and draw. Draw to show adding to. Write how many there are.
So vaya aquí a library. Oh, ya está allí. Sí, so kinder, ¿verdad?
Sí.
So aquí tiene el libro donde dan la tarea. So si va aquí a contentos, contents. So si quiere ver capítulo 2, lección 1.
Pero, por
Allí.
ejemplo, él ahorita ya hasta se llevó el libro, que ya lo terminaron.
¿Este? Porque hay diferentes capítulos, tenemos diferentes,
ok.
como si ya terminaron chapter 2, pues ya lo van a mandar. Como yo también mando los que ya terminamos. Ahorita estamos en 4, so no lo he mandado, trabajamos en la clase. Pero si usted quiere ver la lección que hicieron para el día, puede ir allí y allí la mira. So si le quiere hacer preguntas también, puede escucharlo usted.
Correspondence.
So puede preguntarle en la lección. So you can go to contents. And then you can pick a chapter where they're at. Where'd you go?
I went to math. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, let's cross this one. Okay, so you're going to go into teacher student edition. And you can even say, what chapter are you on? So let's say she says chapter 4. We're going to go to chapter 4. And then it'll give you the vocabulary. It'll give you models of what they're doing in the classroom. So you can even look at it, just to look at, how are they explaining?
Because I'm always telling her, Jada, you gotta tell me, you're the one that's in the classroom. I've been out of school 50 years.
But this is the this is why we're doing it, because so that parents know that it's online and everything. So here it is.
This is
And then if we go into student ebook, it'll play the lesson that they're on.
Oh.
It'll teach them the lesson. So let's go into content. Let's go into chapter 3, lesson 2. There's the lesson. There's some of the questions that she's gonna see.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Isn't that something? How'd you do that?
So close here. So you're gonna pick. This is where the lesson's at. This is their practice book. This is tools where just so that you. No, I just want you to look and just experiment. And if you have any questions, I want you to ask them, because that's what I'm here for.
Okay, thank you.
Which one is practice book?
Ebook.
Is it the books that they just got? Because
Right. So I don't know how different teachers, let me talk on that. So some parents are saying, is it the books that they just got? I don't know. Teachers are doing it differently. I don't send my little books home until we're done with that chapter. So if I'm done with chapter 1, that book is done. So there might be lessons that they missed. You might want to look at it and go back and teach it, to them. I don't know if teachers are sending them home. Yeah.
But the good thing is that you actually have access
To it. Mm-hmm. So, you might even want to ask the teacher, what lesson did you teach today? Because I want to know so that way when I come home with, for homework, or they have a question on something that they did, you can ask them. So again, we're just going to go ahead because we're past our time. So again, homework support strategies. Ask your student questions about the math using the question card for guidance. Again, that yellow card that you have, some of the questions are in the back that you can ask them. The digital, now you have access to go online with the kids and do that lesson for the day. Communicate with the teacher. Ask them questions. What lesson did you teach today? Not everybody, like I said, we're all at different levels, and so not all the teachers have inputted stuff in that. You know, some teachers might input some of the homework in the digital and say, okay, this is the lesson that we did today. Some might not, you know, depending, but you can ask on a daily basis or email your teacher and say, hey, what lesson in math did you teach today? Because I want to take a look at, you know, at home. And just, you know, so that way you know. Things you love about, so I guess 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about what you like about Go Math. Things you learned about now that the math is changing, and things you will do at home. Anybody would like to share?
Well, let's give us some think time. So turn to a partner.
Yes.
And then we, you know, we'll ask. I just like having. Come on over.
No se puede ir hasta que comparta algo que aprendió. And so this one, like with this one, this is how we start our lesson. So it's engage, and then we have them explore on their own, and then we have them explain and elaborate. That's when they're on their own. So we follow the 5 E's. And then we evaluate, because at the end of each lesson, if you look at each lesson, there are some think smart questions. And so that's where we kind of think, okay, let's question these kids. What are they, you know, to see if they picked it up. And we know most of our kids by now, we know who to question, you know, especially if they're not, you know, you have the quiet ones like, don't pick on me. So, you know, it's easy for us to see, but it's also easy for us to evaluate that as well. But again, when you go home, you can even, you know, on those think smarter questions, it's really interesting, because if you look at some of those questions at the end of each lesson, they're a lot tougher for them. You know, just take a look at one of the questions at the end of one of the lessons, and you'll see, because it's asking them to explain themselves.
And so will they be getting like actual homework and stuff assigned through there where it's electronically done?
Depends on the teacher.
Okay.
That's why we're saying it depends on the teacher, but we're also doing, again, we want you to communicate with the teacher and just kind of say, what lesson did you do today? You know, or can you share with us? Or some teachers just say, you know, each day we cover one lesson. Like for me, I cover a lesson each day. Sometimes I might not, because I want to explain more. Like on double digits, I'm expending 2 to 3 days on one lesson, because I really want them to be strong on that addition, double digits, because that's what something that 3rd grade was saying. You need to, you know, they need to come strong, knowing their addition facts. So we still have kids going. And we want them away from that. We want them to say, okay, 5 plus 5 is 10. Count at 5 more, that's 15. And the kids I see a big difference with the double addition, especially this year. Last year was so difficult to explain to them. This year, it's been so easy. 45 plus 23. Well, I know I have a group of 40 plus 30 more, that's 70 plus, you know. I'm having them group their 10s and group their 1s, and it's a lot, even mentally, like you were showing, the kids are picking up a lot easier on that, which is nice to say. And last year, you know, let's break it here, let's add our 1s, and let's regroup. Very difficult for them. This process was so much easier. I was like, oh, huh? No, no.
It's time to start.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I know.
It's so useful. I mean, it's so helpful right now to, like, I know now how to teach my kid now what I'm gonna, you know.
And feel free. You guys want to stop by my room? Come in, observe. If you want to observe, you're more than welcome to. But I am very. When I mean business, I mean business. I know my brother works here. He's the custodian. He's like, God, you're so strict. And I'm like, because I want them to learn. I want them to be ready for 3rd grade. I go, because I don't want to keep any of my kids back. I want them to move on. And I tell my kids every single day, I love you guys, but you got to move on. You got to move on. And they'll tell their parents, Miss Torres loves this. And I said, I do, but you got to keep going, you know, as much as. And believe me, the last day of school, makeup's all over. Last year, I was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And the group, the whole 25 kids were crying. I walked into the office and she's like, what happened? I was like, nothing. I don't want to talk about it. Just my makeup's all over. So it's, you know, it's interesting to see the beginning to now. But I tried 2 different math programs, and this was one of the best ones that I don't regret changing to this one. So.
It's just, you know, we want our kids to and be able to apply it to real life. And why is math important if I'm not using it? Well, it's important because when you grow up, you know, it's going to be part of your daily life. Part of your, you know, the
And we want them, yeah, we want them to communicate, because, I mean, we do deal with the real world. And, you know, a lot of our kids are they stay to themselves. We want you to experience, you know, we want you to talk. We want you, you know, think out loud, say what you feel, you know, and stuff. So, okay, so last minute before our recorder. So who would like to share something? I'm going to pick on everybody, so where do I start, right or left? Okay, over there.
What is good about it is like now my son who loves numbers and cannot explain, my daughter who can explain and do the stuff, they all have, like Amit's gonna have the same answer, but he's gonna do something that none of us understand. But he still has the good answer. So now we're gonna listen to him. So how
The
he
different
did.
modalities.
So it gives a chance to everybody, because a long time
To
ago,
validate, yeah.
if the teacher said it's this way, like me, I will have always another way than the teacher. He'll give me 0, like you have to do it the same way as me. Now he can do it his way as long as he explained how he did it.
Right.
So more chance for everybody.
So, yeah. Okay. Next person, your partner in crime next to you. I know she's listening to me. Okay, so.
I was, my daughter Elijah, she is really good at numbers. Elijah doesn't like the drawing thing. She said when she does numbers, she understands better. So, and me too. With the
But is
numbers.
it easy for her to communicate her
Yes.
numbers?
Yes.
Okay. So she'll be ready for second.
I just like the fact that I have, was she finished?
No, she already asked for me. She already paid me. Go ahead.
I like the fact that I have the tools now that I need. I can just get on the computer and I can know how to help her. Or when she's doing it, I'm like, okay, Jada, show me how you did it. She said, I don't know, this is how we did it in class. I was like, but you gotta show me so I can help you, or I can at least double check to see if it's right. Well, I don't know. It's just easier for me to do.
And again, it's that communication. We do want you to explain. We want you to be able to tell me, how did you get to that answer? So yeah, now you can question her. You have questions on that yellow sheet.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, they don't just do the answers, they have to explain how they got the answer. Well, that's a good thing, so
And
they
if-
just can't
go
get
ahead.
the answers and, you know, have your friend tell you the answers, and you're like, okay, how'd you get that? Oh, well, you know, I don't know. Somebody else did your work. You have to explain how you got that.
And if you notice on each of the lessons, there is vocabulary also that, you know, we introduce at the beginning of each chapter. There's vocabulary on there that we're using in the classroom, so that's another go-to as well.
I would say that like GoMath brings up lots of strategies, different ways of strategies to come to this to solve the same problem. So because I have done my education back home in India, and so when I came here, I saw that the problem is being taught in a different way than I have learned, but they're coming to the same answer.
Right.
So I even went ahead and talked to my daughter's math teacher, and she said, no, this was way before GoMath started. No, this is the way we solve it. So it was like, okay. So I had to kind of stuck to that kind of method, whereas I knew that there was another
another.
method
Right.
to get to the answer.
Right.
But now this is like giving the kids more exposure.
Right.
And also it is building up the critical thinking
Right.
and also challenging them. And now I would say that if they become proficient in the Go Math program, they would be able to stand up and challenge another student.
Right.
When
Yeah.
it gives an
And
answer, I know.
talk and explain.
Right.
So that's one good thing that I can see.
Thank you.
I think it'll be a good thing, communication in general, because they'll be able to communicate how they did this, which will help in all other areas of communicating other issues.
Right.
And I like that they're working more with each other. So if one kid sees it one way, the other kid can kind of explain how they did it, and it's totally different. But then they can see it, is this easier that way? Maybe they might adapt that way, they might stick to their own way, but they can see all the different ways someone can come up with that.
Right, and that's something that we were talking about. I'm like, okay, her way, I am not gonna get it, but her way, I'm gonna understand it, and she explained it to me, but I was like, I can't understand, but okay. And
Like my daughter, she's in kindergarten. It's like my first daughter that she's going to school, and then when she brings homework, I'm confused. I mean, like how to teach my daughter, right? I mean, when we do homeworks together, she is so calm. Like she doesn't talk to me that much about problems that she doesn't understand. But then when I tell her, and then sometimes on her numbers she gets, I think she gets confused, but it's not that. I think that she doesn't recognize the numbers. But then when she gets the right answer though. If you have a addition, subtraction, she gets the right answer, but she won't tell me is that 6 or 4. She won't speak to me, but she'll get the right answer, right? If I ask her, then I'll like, okay, however, it's okay. But now I know that, it's her own. I'm gonna leave it on to her own.
Right.
As long as she get the right answer, or I'm gonna just to have some questions, how she get it,
right.
or just
Yeah, you should use the yellow sheet with the questions,
Yeah.
of how did you get, and make it fun for them. Don't make it so stressful either. We're not saying that. Just make it fun for them, Yeah.
And
So.
that'll help her also with her language to be
Right.
able to,
Oh, yeah.
so you're also.
And that's another thing that Go Math does is it's building their vocabulary. A lot of the words, the kids were like, what's that? The first word was an add-in. And the kids was like, what's that? I said, well, that's another word for number. And you hear them now, and they're using add-in or digit, where they were, before it was just, that's a number. Yeah. So it's really fun to see the kids going from, it's just a number to, and I was like, oh, that word stuck to them. That's interesting. So, it's good to see that. So I can't complain about Go Math. I mean, and I've had a lot of teachers come up to me and say, thank you for picking that program. And they like it. So far, so good. This is my fault. I'm not the only one, though.
We want our kids to be thinkers. We want our kids to be able to explain. And I mean, it's a good thing. It really is.
So this is the program you guys are gonna stick with the whole time?
This is our new adoption.
A new adoption. And
Yes, so lots more Go Math.
yeah, and again, it's building upon what they already have. So kindergarten, they're starting. First grade's going to build upon that, and then second grade will build upon what first grade. So thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Feel free. I'm in B8. If you have any questions or complaints, I'm there.